Yo, what's up? It's your boy Currency 365. Hope you guys are doing well. Legends never die. They stay in our hearts. If you want to support us, click the like button, subscribe to the channel, and also you can come down here and hit the join button under the video or in our channel section. And you can also join our Patreon, patreon.com/currency365. And we also have Cash App and also PayPal for supports if you want to sow some seeds. Peace out. God bless. Enjoy the video and keep the movement going. Legends. Bye.
So just putting a warning out. I'm just sharing to try to get the message out with the independent media, what they're sharing. But they weaponize even the trial of Trump, because NYC, we know, has a history. It's massively liberal. It's like, say you're a visiting team and you play sports and you're going into a home team stadium and they're very hostile, meaning their fans and stuff, they throw food and stuff on the floor. Or if you play hockey, they throw octopuses as though they throw stuff to really they do bad things. This is the left. That's the state of New York. California is another place like that. They're heavily liberal. So, they're going to be biased. They're not going to be fair, by the way. So just keep that in mind. That's why that's not a coincidence, but there is some things you need to be aware of. And this Trump conviction confirms Biden's deep state criminal cabal. They're getting ready to make massive moves. So just be aware. I also hear that military bases are being infiltrated, by the way. I remember I had a relative that told me their former pastor who passed away, Pastor Johnston, I don't remember his first name, was a pastor of New Life Church somewhere in Michigan some years ago. It's where Kim Clement used to visit. And he said Pastor Johnson warned his congregation at one time that they would attack us from within. Yes, they will come from within. And I remember when this same relative who told me this took me to an event back in October 1996 where Terry Cook, former FBI agent, was a guest speaker at. Joyce Raleigh was a notable key speaker at. There was other people that came down. They appeared to be militia. Just in my opinion, I don't know exactly. I was still in high school at the time. This was in October of 1996. And they mentioned that even at this event, they said they're going to have a lot of spies. They're going to attack us from within, by the way. And keep in mind, the intelligence agency, which John F. Kennedy, you are able to find that speech where he warned us about. And I heard he was going to try to get rid of, but unfortunately, they assassinated him before he was able to do some of these things. But he wanted to disband the CIA and the FBI. And there's history behind how those organizations were created. And they've been involved in other countries' downfalls. If you've been or from other parts of the world, and you wonder how they put these dictators in or these warlords, like what's going on in Haiti. The guy that so-called took over was a former police chief in Haiti. And I told a friend of mine, a lot of the videos that I saw, because I do investigative research and forensic analysis. And I looked up close. I paused the video, but I saw several different videos where this guy showed he was a Mason, a traveling man. That's one of the organizations. Now, I'm not saying people that are part of that organization, that all people, they may not, there's people that don't know what they're part of, but there's different secret societies and there's a pecking order between these different fraternal organizations and secret societies and fraternities and sororities, by the way. But that's how they communicate. One of the ways they can put their underlinks and how they use their secret signs, their secret hand gestures, their emblems, their charms, necklaces, license plates. It's important if you don't pay attention to things like that. So that's one of the things why I said Trump is not part of the establishment. Why I had a conversation, a debate against some guys on Telegram. I debated several men, and I said, how could Trump be establishment? Because if he was a Mason, if I saw evidence of this, that he was part of the Illuminati, don't you think he would be protected? Like when I mentioned all the crimes that Obama did, but him and Biden, they're still scot-free. They aren't being scrutinized to this level. If Trump was not part of the establishment, But these guys were just steadily claiming. I've heard reports that Trump's father was one, but he himself, only reason he was able to roll in that space in the past was because he was a billionaire, and that allowed him to be in certain circles and spaces your average person would not have been able to. But I don't see any indication, in my personal opinion, that he's he's establishment. When people say establishment, are the type of people that are pledged. They're yes men and yes women. They take their marching orders from their bosses at the top, the ruling class elite, the Illuminati. They're people that a lot of times are puppets. They don't have any spine. They give in. Trump, to me, he's more of a maverick. He's outside the establishment, very similar to Kennedy in different ways, even though Kennedy was a Democrat, but in very similar ways. They had a lot of similarities where Kennedy, the original John F. Kennedy, was not part of the establishment. It's one of the reasons, unfortunately, sadly, he was murdered. And if you know about what Kennedy, one of the things he did, he passed Executive Order 11-11-00, where he took us off the Fed, the Federal Reserve, and put us on the Treasury. And he had those United States notes that were issued. You can look up the specific currency. If you're looking for evidence, do research behind it. They sell some of those memorabilia notes at coin shops or places, currency dealers, places like that, that'll have those notes where you can look up where they print it. They look like the Federal Reserve notes of today, but they had red printed on it. They were the United States notes, and I heard they were allegedly more powerful than the older gold and silver certificates because they were interest-free. And I heard that was one of the main reasons Kennedy was assassinated. And I hear after Kennedy was killed, after Lyndon Baines Johnson took over as acting president, he was vice president at the time, his first order of business was to rescind Kennedy's Executive Order 11-11-00. Let me say it again. When Lyndon Baines Johnson took over after Kennedy was murdered, it's my opinion that Lyndon Baines Johnson was part of the criminal deep state, the equivalent during that time period in the early 1960s and moving forward. His first order of business after Kennedy was murdered was to rescind Executive Order 11-11-00. Look up, read about that executive order. They said that's one of the main things, but it was other things that Kennedy was planning on doing. And rest in peace, he was an honorable man, amazing. When I learned about, before I was born, before my time, but it was amazing when I learned about the story and what he did, and to try to save this deep state has been in causing trouble for years. They murdered people. The same criminal cabal that is very heavily aligned deeply with the Democratic Party, that has been around for a long time, has been involved in assassinations. It's closely aligned with our intelligence agencies. This is a fact. This is not conspiracy. This has already come out, and I can prove it. I can even cam up. I can show you guys the books and things that talk about this, that prove this. But just be aware. So there's also plans that the Biden administration, after this verdict, because of course they're trying to keep the status quo going on. They don't want the T-Man coming back in office. So they're announcing plans to bomb Russia, where Biden secretly gave Ukraine permission to strike inside Russia with U.S. weapons, by the way. So that's coming. You also have false flag events. They're going to be planning. Dr. McCullough talked about Disease X is here. They're going to be planning a multitude of things. This is asymmetrical warfare. This is also a war of attrition. They're using asymmetrical warfare. To give you an idea, you can look up what that is. It's where you catch an enemy or opponent or somebody you want to oppress or hurt. You catch them off guard or keep them off guard by doing things that are unpredictable. That's why the false flag events. Just be mindful, be protected. Watch your 6 24/7, the best that you can, because they're going to use asymmetrical warfare. These are military terms too. They've already, years ago, if you all remember, Jade Him mastering the human domain. We're back in 2016 or prior. There was some type of military operation that was secretly conducted. It was declassified, where they were studying. I was able to find information not too long ago that was still out there in the independent media doing a search, but it was called Jade Him Mastering the Human Domain. It was like a military term or something where they were basically studying the civilian population to align with maybe their computer system for when they declare martial law or they get prepared for these things that they're planning, by the way, behind the people behind the curtain or the criminal deep state. So they use, because remember, when people work for the military, the police, or security guards, they have to answer to people high up. That's why you have ranking positions from general all the way down to private or regular officer. By the way, these people follow orders. Like the generals answer to the president, by the way, are like next in line. Go back and watch the old Superman movies with Christopher Reeves to get an idea why you wonder why generals are involved, where there's association with your top 5-star generals or whatever, and they answer to the president. There's a pecking order, so just be aware. But a lot of times, people that are against this, that don't want to go along with the agenda, they could be they fear being court-martialed. They fear losing their jobs. This is how they use the banking system, debt as a form of a weapon to keep against the people, to to get them in alignment to go along with whatever the agenda is.